Hello everyone, Neagat here. Welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today I'm bringing you a game played on Ravaged between myself and the top left corner of the map with the red pieces versus my opponent Elbarto playing with the blue pieces in the bottom right corner of the map. Just to give an update about the channel, if you're new here, this is a game called Littlewargame. It's been out for, I want to say, close to 10 years. It's an RTS game similar to StarCraft, where you basically have base building, and then you have unit production, and then you can send those units to the other side of the map to try to kill your opponent. And whoever does that wins, essentially. So this is a little bit about this game, and then if you're interested in playing this game, getting into it, if this is something that intrigues you, there's a link in the description down below that has the link to the website where you can click and play. It's pretty easy to set up an account. It's free to play. It's literally on your computer. It's a browser game. You can pull it up, and if you're trying to get into the game, and you don't know any build orders yet, you don't know any like the order of production to get in order to be like solid, I made a couple videos specifically talking about what you need to do in order to do that. So yeah, some build order videos essentially. And then if you're new, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment in the video. That really helps this channel moving forward. So talking about the game, I went for a raider opening, so I got this barracks, and then my opponent decided to do the same, getting a house and then a barracks. It looks like we're going for the exact same opening. The only difference is I decided to go for this worker scout, and the worker is beneficial because it gets to do that damage to the raider there, and normally, as long as it's damaged and this raider gets to attack it, it'll just three-shot a raider, I believe. But in this case, Elbarto decides to just get some damage on my worker and then retreat from this raider. We're both getting our second bases now at this point. That's the play. And then we do see that this raider harassment continues to go on. Second base should be going down. It finally does. We do see another raider in production and more workers in production. So in case you are curious about this build order specifically, I posted a video talking about this exact build order that me and Elbarto are doing. So if you want to play a game, like play a build order that some of the better players of Littlewargame are playing, especially as Elbarto is one of the better players of Littlewargame for sure. I got a comment. I gotta turn that off, but can't as of this moment. So we do see castle being produced. The interesting thing at this point is I'm unaware of where my opponent is. I remember the last time I saw him, he was here, and he could have easily moved his raider back and tried to go over to the other side of the map to do some harassment. So I basically pull my raiders to try to account for that. But what Elbarto decides to do is he decides to go for a third castle at this point, something I have not been able to scout out simply because I just haven't looked over at the third base location. And this is something that I really should be trying to figure out, especially since I'm already here. I already have the raiders to try to scout this out. If I moved over, I would have seen this right away and I would have a correct response. Instead, what I'm doing right now is I'm going for a much safer build order right now, where I'm getting another barracks so I can get some more units. I want to get some archers just because I think he's on 2 base right now. I don't realize he's on 3 base. Not until this moment actually do I realize he's on 3 base. And so this puts me in a really weird position because in terms of greed, Elbarto is definitely ahead. He's got many more bases than I do. I decide to jump in because I have more raiders than he has raiders. But he definitely was able to micro this a lot better than me. I lost 2 raiders and he lost he lost only one raider, which is not a good situation to be in. I fortunately was able to kill a worker, but that's not a lot of compensation for losing 2 raiders. Yeah, so this is a really awkward position for me to be in. I see that he's going for archers. I see that he has units available, but he's got that 3rd base, and I'm like, what do I do? Do I continue to get archers at home? I don't really need to be safe, since Elbarto doesn't really have the units to be aggressive. So eventually I just decide I'm gonna get 5 archers, and then I'm gonna get this castle up, and just continue to try to build up. With this kind of army composition, it's really solid, or it's a really nice idea to get catapults at some point, because catapults are fantastic against archers. We just see me just consistently prodding this 3rd base of Elbarto. I want to keep the pressure up, so that he feels like he can't, macro or micro as well as he should have. Slightly supply block for a second there, but that's fine. And we do see that I start going for a workshop. A workshop is how you get catapults, and so I decide to do that. And my opponent, Elbarto, he is also doing the exact same thing. So if we take a look at units, we can see that we've pretty much equalized at this point. I have 3 more workers than he does, and we're both on 3 base at this point. However, I think Elbarto is going to be higher on income. Yeah, he's about 400 gold ahead of me, and he's lost less resources. So he's about 500 gold ahead of me at this point, which can be a good amount of units, or maybe some production facilities. That all exists. I do see that these raiders are coming, so I decide to pull these workers aside, so that my archers can do some damage here. Workers get back to work. This is a very, very nice move, just to pull your workers to the side, especially as you have army nearby to answer what's going on. I decide to send my units to potential 4 base locations that Elbarto might be going for. As long as I have these raiders on the map, I should have a pretty clear sign of how much income Elbarto has access to. If we can take a look at my vision, yeah, so we can see that these raiders are covering these base locations. If a worker was to come here and build a base, these raiders would get triggered and start attacking the worker. I decide that I want to go for some map awareness, so I also move units towards the middle of the map to try to get some of that awareness going on. We do see that Elbarto's raiders are here. Unfortunately, I was unable to respond in the moment to realize that those raiders were present, and Elbarto is deciding to start moving onto the map. I should have catapults at this point, so the moment I see that these archers are coming up, I should be able to respond and move all my army back to where it needs to be. And as you can see, I'm already moving to unite my archer force to try to deal with this archer ball. We do see that I go for 4th base at this point. I'm trying to get ahead economically, so Elbarto was ahead originally, and if I can get this 4th base going, I think I'll be even more ahead. And we can already see on the income that I'm starting to pull ahead as well. So we've got 2 catapults. Elbarto has a catapult of his own, so he's kind of forced to move back slightly. Let's go ahead and take a look at production really quick. So I'm consistently producing workers and producing a lot of stuff here. So I'm going for my armory, I'm going for an additional barracks, I'm going for more units, and I'm also going for this castle. At the same time, we see that our opponent, Elbarto, is going for additional workshops and even more barracks. So now that he's going to be on 6 buildings of production, he's going to have a very strong army composition that's going to be coming up very soon. He'll be able to produce a lot of army on these 3 bases. Elbarto is going to this fourth base location. I'm pretty sure he's trying to see if I have a fourth base at this point, and clearly I do, since I have this fourth base, but he does not. He's not aware of that. So when he starts getting this fourth base, I'm pretty sure Elbarto thinks that he is ahead and he's being able to expand faster than I am. Unfortunately, he is not, but I do not have the production that he has at this moment. That's a mistake on my part. I should definitely have gotten additional barracks so that I could continue to outproduce him. We do see that these raiders are trying to scout this fourth base location, and he starts to do it. So he now knows that I'm on four bases. I have to pull my workers so that the raiders don't just kill them all, and then I have archers present to try to deal with this. At the same time, I have the rest of my army present as well to also try to deal with this. So I really have to, I really want to keep a lot of these archers alive, and then the more raiders I can kill, the better, for sure. We do see Elbarto is starting to accumulate some army in the center, so he is having a very strong army here. He does decide to build a forge. I'm also building a forge. I'm getting +1 attack upgrades. Elbarto is probably going for something very similar, but he's also going for 2 additional barracks, whereas I only have I have 2 additional barracks coming up as well. So, but I am currently supply blocked. Let's take a look at the supply. So 110 versus 120. So very even in supply right now. This is actually a lot more even than I suspected. And we see that we're both going for a move on the map at the same time. I'm deciding to push into this fourth. I use this raider to try to get information to see if I'm ever getting flanked, and that does reveal that I am getting flanked. So I must respond to this. I decide to pull over into this kind of high ground position, but Elbarto's army as of this moment is quite larger than mine, and catapults take a while to fire, so you really need to micro this as well as you can. So I currently have archers selected, but these catapults are taking a lot of damage. They're doing a lot of damage as well. And Elbarto's larger archer ball is doing a good job. If I would have gone into mages, this would have been... Mages here would actually have been such a strong unit to have against this. The area of effect fireball that they're able to do is very strong. We are able to press a little bit forward. I do feel like I have more archers than he does, so I'm going to have some more consistent damage output. However, he does have more catapults than I do, so he's going to be able to probably win this fight unless I micro, which I'm currently not microing very well. But now we see that it's a bunch of archers versus catapults. I definitely want to say that was a win for Elbarto. I lost a lot of archers there, for sure. Still have a raider up. I decide to go for some dual prong harassment. I have these catapults on the other side of the map. Unfortunately, they were not as beneficial as I wanted them to be. So it's just a little bit unfortunate. So a lot of what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to set up basically some run bys. I'm trying to kill this base. I really want to kill this base so that Elbarto is still on 3 bases or 4 bases, down to 3. And I'm trying to do this a lot by having units kind of have their own attack while I'll have a defensive unit or defensive force at home. So currently you see that I have these soldiers who are trying to come to this 3rd base and do some damage, while at the same time setting up this run by here. Do you see that some of these defensive forces are coming out? I currently only have 1 workshop, which means I can only produce 1 catapult at a time. That's going to be a disadvantage, especially against an army with more catapults. Catapults are very much like siege tanks in StarCraft 2. You want a lot of them, or any StarCraft game, to be honest. You want a lot of siege tanks because they do a lot of damage. They're very good at killing units. They have this like area of effect where their catapults drop. But obviously you don't want them to be alone, or else they might get ambushed or just ganked by a bunch of soldiers. Very similar to how StarCraft works. At the same time, we do see that I decided to go for this soldier run by. Elbarto, he does have a lot of catapults present, but I am able to take out some of these units. But Elbarto has the appropriate amount of defense at home to really deal with this soldier run by, so it's not as efficient as I would have wanted it to be. At the same time, I am trying to win the game by just like killing one of the bases. I'm basically solely focused on, I want to kill one of the bases, I want to do damage, so I'm consistently running towards Elbarto, and I'm basically trying to force him to play defense. I even have this drop coming in. Elbarto, he is starting to get airships at this point, so that is going to be very interesting, especially with these catapults. You can try to go for a CATA drop, which would be very strong, I suspect. I was able to destroy 2 barracks, but I lost a bunch of my soldiers. It's definitely time for me to go ahead and retreat. Elbarto at this time has his airship with his catapult drop coming in. We do see that I reached the high ground. If I had more units, I would definitely want to try to hold this position. And we see that Elbarto is able to do this CATA drop at my 4th base location. I'm currently busy microing at home. I don't see that Elbarto has made this drop, so it's going to do a lot of damage, and there's no watchtower at this base, so I don't have anything to really answer with this with. I do try to get a 5th base, especially as my main base has been mined out, but Elbarto has the army composition to basically stop me from being able to do this. Elbarto now is able to continue his catapult drop at my 3rd base location, and I'm so focused on this fight over here that I'm not able to see the fact that Elbarto is going for this very destructive catapult drop. And even though I have a watchtower in that position, it's not enough for me to win the game, or it's not enough for me to recover from that catapult drop, to be honest. I'm still producing airships. I think at some point I was able to land a drop here, but basically I was able to repel this army, and now I type oof, which is the moment I realize that 2 of my bases, only one of my bases is currently mining, versus Elbarto's I want to say 4 base income. So I'm definitely on the back foot. I have to decide whether I'm going to prioritize building units or building more workers, and I think I decide to build more workers so that I can try to recover from this position. I still have 1 base mining, so I can afford some of these things, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult at this point. I have a lot of catapults, but Elbarto has a lot of catapults plus production going on, so he's able to kind of get an advantage through that. Just that catapult drop, able to do so much damage just by killing 2 worker lines of production. It was very well played by Elbarto. Unfortunately, very poorly played by myself to not have seen that. And so at this point, I have a drop that was over here, trying to do some damage, and I saw that Elbarto did respond to that drop. So my thoughts for launching this attack now was Elbarto is probably on the other side of the map, and he wouldn't have the forces to respond to this. But unfortunately, I was definitely wrong. Elbarto was able to build up and have the force required to basically deal with this. And as we can see, Elbarto definitely is ahead in terms of advantage. I'm still able to produce, but I am losing all these catapults. I pretty much lost that entire force there, and now I see pretty much that the game is over. Elbarto has all these soldiers. He has such a large army at this point that he is able to win the game. So good game to Elbarto. Really fun playing against you, and yeah, really enjoyed it. If you guys at home enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like, please comment, please subscribe, and I'll continue to see you guys in the next video. Talk to you guys later.